Oh, hello, my beautiful, beautiful souls, and welcome to this intensive study group titled Sensation Synchronicity. And this is Amanda Trombley, your crazy coach lady, and welcome to this video. I am so super duper excited. We have been talking about so many fun things throughout the week, and so this is going to piggyback off all of that. So in this video, we are going to chat about some of the pain cycles that we're suffering through, the use and misuse of coping skills, hypnotic sensations, the unison of survival, unlocking pleasure, activating the fourth dimension, your soul-making codes, and if you stay all the way till the end of this video, we have a lifetime opportunity for you. So we're going to jump right into it. Again, Amanda Trombley, your crazy coach lady, and I want to talk just really quickly why this is so super duper important. I am somebody who has been a lover of all things psychology and behavioral health since my earliest memories, and that has sufficed me so well. It has given me the ability to pivot through and move through so many different struggles, to be able to overcome and thrive through a life and create a life worth living. That being said, through all of my processes, through all of my analyzing, and through everything that I was able to overcome and be strong and courageous because of, there was still a massive gap between overcoming something and really living a thriving experience in this life here and now. And so sensation synchronicity is that gap between moving through and actually being able to say, okay, I've been through this, I've overcome this, but I'm no longer just overcoming the struggle of life. I'm becoming and building the most pleasurable life that I can absolutely dream of. And so that is my personal experience, and my hope, my mission for you is that you experience the exact same thing, that we begin to separate ourselves from just experiencing life on life's terms and moving through it a day at a time, and actually begin to create a lit lifestyle that puts us on fire, that allows us to live passionate, full, whole, loving, fun, incredibly sexy, raw, and juicy lives despite any shortcomings that we are overcoming or any traumatic experiences that we have faced or are currently moving through. So let's stop chit-chatting about me and let's start chit-chatting about this whole thing here. So I'm going to call attention to some of our struggles that we are facing right now. And this is the pain cycles that not you, not I, but that as a collective consciousness, we are continuing to face time and time again. These are the let's take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. These are the, you feel like you're in a really good place for some time, and then your mental health suffers a massive drop by no real reason that you can decide upon. This is the cycle of pain that we as the collective conscious are so stuck living in and so attached to. And primarily, it's not truly our fault, but it is this cycle that we're so accustomed to living that we're not even aware of it, or that it's almost something that's become cliche. So for an idea of this, to put this into perspective of how it's so overused and overpopulated that it's become cliche, we all have heard that saying of taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And in actuality, you're okay with that because that's the way you've been told, trained, taught, that that's how it's supposed to be. Keep moving forward. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but get back up and do it again. And the problem with this cycle has really allowed us to stay attached to this idea that there will always be some sort of mechanism that moves us backwards as we're trying to get ahead. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that I have experienced this in my own life, and that's exactly why we're talking about it today. Because we no longer want to be attached to this pain cycle. We don't want to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We don't want to feel really, really good for 2 or 3 months and then all of a sudden not know how to sleep for 2 or 3 months, or all of a sudden find ourselves yelling and screaming at our kids, or going, I just need to go camping and turn off my phone for a few days to reset. If we create a lit lifestyle, we don't need a break from our lifestyle, and we don't find ourselves moving 2 steps back or having to continuously reset every 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year. Because as we intentionally set our behavioral, our patterns, and open up to the synchronicities of our life, we begin to move in unison with those synchronicities rather than in unison with the pain cycle itself. So, some of the posts that were privy to this were talking about coping skills, and I really want to touch on these. You guys know, if you follow me for any period of time, you guys absolutely know I'm heavily involved in psychology and behavioral health. I am an absolute advocate for everything mental health, and that I really design my courses and my content in a way that builds your mental wealth. That being said, there is a massive gap in the way that we use coping skills that actually begins to contribute to our pain cycles. Now, we're not born into an existence knowing our coping skills, and most of the people that come to me at 20, 30, 40, 50 years of age don't actually have a set knowledge of coping skills that they use in their lives, because again, we're existing through our pain cycles, getting through it 1 step at a time. In fact, your coping skill may be just that simple awareness of resetting. So, the problem here with coping skills, let alone the fact that we don't come to realize or use them until in our later years, is that they're not being used for a thrival experience in our lives. They're simply being used as a way to survive. And this is completely common, and this isn't your fault. This is what coping skills are meant to do. They're not meant to actually rise you up into a state of mental wealth or extreme consciousness or enlightenment. Coping skills are meant to pivot you away from the current mental or physical struggle that you are having in the moment and move you into a directional path that doesn't keep you attached to that lack. But they are a skill that is used to be for coping. They're not actually designed to create any sense of pleasure for you. So when you get in this pain cycle and you begin your enlightenment journey, you're feeling really good and you're beginning to expand your world because you're actively using your coping skills and realizing that you don't have to stay stuck in your anxiety, you can pivot away from it. That you don't have to stay stuck in your depression, you can do something about it. That your obsessive thinking is beginning to be minimized because you are using your coping skills effectively. This is all the proper use of coping skills. The problem or the misuse with coping skills is that they simply end there. Because of their root, because of their definition, because of the way that we use coping skills, they're only used for our immediate benefit. And they're not used to create that pleasure center in our brain. As you've heard me say a million times over, it's not our brain's job to create pleasure, but it's our brain's job to keep us away from pain. And coping skills were directly used in alignment with that brain's mechanism. We're not trying to create pleasure with a coping skill. We're simply running from the pain that we are experiencing. The problem with this keeps us trapped in that pain cycle. This allows us to have to continue to reuse the coping skill again and again without being able to move towards a state of pleasurable living. So, let's insert an incredible eye-opening statement here, and let's begin to believe some belief biohacking. Here is the incredible thing about our brains and our bodies. Our bodies do not experience sensations differently from one another. So our body responds identically to pain as it does excitement. Our body physically feels this the same way, with the flushed cheeks, with the redness of our chest, with a heavier breathing, with the tenseness or overwhelmness in our hands, with the pit in our stomach. Our body actually experiences this physical sensation the entirely same, regardless of whether you're experiencing extreme pain or you're experiencing extreme pleasure, regardless of whether you're experiencing extreme fear or you're experiencing extreme excitement. What happens here is our mind gets in the mix and begins to tell us what is pain and what is pleasurable, what is fear and what is excitement. So it's not only our mind here. The reason why we're talking about hypnotic sensations is that your mind works in unison with the way that you have been coded, with the cultural aspects that you have grown up around, with how you were treated as a child when you got hurt or experienced some anxiety or got excited about something. Your brain works in unison to begin to code this reality, this separation between pleasure and pain, fear and excitement. And in unison between your brain's response and awareness over what's happening and its fear of pain and your hypnotic experience on this life, again, 0 to 7, being in that brainwave that allows the most suggestive reasoning, you begin to actually experience sensations in a form that aren't true to you, but sensations in a hypnotic sense. So when you experience something painful, it's not a true recognition that you are feeling pain, but it's a hypnotic experience of the sensation that has been coded into you. So mind blown, guys. What this means is that we actually have the ability to experience every piece of our lives in a really pleasurable sense, which means that we get to move away from the pain cycle, which means that something overwhelming can begin to excite us to the core, which means that our subconscious blocks that we keep announcing and denouncing and trying to figure out and analyzing can actually be completely pleasure sensing and igniting to our soul, and the absolute reason of why our growth happens. The problem without this belief, the problem of not knowing and not beginning to implement this belief and not beginning to biohack your own self, is what we see, is the collective unison of survival that we see all around us. It is the lack in your community center. It is the stressed and overwhelmed moms. It's a group like this of 50, 60, 200, 2,000 people all desiring more money, more this, more that, more health, better bodies, this and that. It is the collective unison of survival. We're all just grasping at strings, trying to get the next thing, trying to grow into the next piece, trying to experience something better than we're currently experiencing. And if we are stuck so much in trying, we are so super duper attached to that survival or that pain cycle. And we completely limit ourselves from actually being able to experience any sort of thriving mentality. So what is the solution here? How do we move away from that pain cycle, away from the collective unison of survival that we have been so conditioned into living in? And how do we move towards living this lit life where the sensation synchronicity is ours of our own making? We have to begin to unlock the pleasure so that we can move towards the fourth dimension. We have to begin to do that scary, juicy, really fun and pleasurable work that allows us to create our own making of our soul. So here's a quick little note that I so believe and so feel passionate about. Your soul is completely separate from your ego-centered identity. And unfortunately, we live so stuck in this ego-centered identity. And in so many ways, our ego-centered identity can be so useful to us because it's what allows us to get up and go and to move past those really big mental health barriers. But as we move forward on our journeys, we must begin to separate ourselves from this ego-centered existence and move into the truth and the knowledge of our soul making. We must begin to call attention to our souls in order to be able to move into that state of that fourth dimension living. Your soul is not concerned with trust or appreciation. It's not concerned with money or finances. Your soul's not concerned with how you look. Your soul truly, personally, isn't even concerned with how you feel, because your soul itself is the embodiment of pure, blissful energy, and it wants nothing but the best for you. And the more that we move to this path of enlightenment, the more that we reach into our souls and allow ourselves to position ourselves in the genius, in the power, in the love, in the play that allows us to unleash this soul making and live a free, full, absolute lit life. So, how do we take ourselves away from the pain cycle that we're currently trapped and stuck living in? And how do we move towards this fourth dimensional state of living so that we can be consciously activating our sensation synchronicity without thoughts? You'll notice so far, if you're this far along in your journey, that you have begun to see the synchronicities of the earth. You began to see the little spirit guides that lead you here and there. If you're seeing these things, you're so well on your way to the creation that is designed for you. So keep on going and stop questioning. Begin to lean in and appreciate all of these moments when you feel like you are being guided. Your soul is calling out to you in its own true form. And so what your soul wants from you is an embodiment of that form, which means moving away from the physical world and moving into the sensational world, which means less structure, less boxes, less cubes, less hard gridded lines, and more flow of your own energy state. These are the little things that we like to do to embody our creations, like dipping our toes in the sand. But I want to tell you that your soul speaks to you in a poetic form. And one of the ways to tap into this sensation synchronicity and begin to recode this for ourselves is beginning to speak the language of your soul and allowing this abstract illusionary art form of the way she speaks to you to become the driving force in your life. Listen to her call and fall in. As you begin to fall into her call, you will begin to experience more synchronicities in your life, and you'll begin to experience the sensations of her wrapping around you and lifting you up. The last thing that I want to say here as a quick tip is beginning to pull that subconscious stuff out and stop analyzing it for just a moment. All that subconscious stuff that really shouldn't be subconscious anymore because you've brought it to your conscious mind. You know it's there. You've been trying to work on it. Stop working on it. Stop analyzing it. Start celebrating the shit out of it. Start saying, hell yes, I love rejection. Hell yes, I love this struggle. I'm here. I'm doing it. Bring that subconscious shit that you've tried to bring to your conscious mind to work on 1,000,000 times over. Bring it forward by celebrating the shit out of it. When it's being celebrated, when it's being honored, when it's being lit the fuck up, guess what? It stops playing background. It stops playing background and it truly moves into your conscious mind because you're giving it the energy that it wants. And when it moves into your conscious mind, that clears your subconscious mind to create new patterns, new codes that allow you to actually get what you really want, that allow you to input subconscious designs, beliefs, and codings that actually align with where you want to go. So, to finalize this here, how do you get to that soul-making, pleasurable state where you're living a lit life rather than being attached to and stuck to the pain cycle and the survival unison of the collective? You celebrate the shit out of those subconscious blocks and you start listening to the call of your soul. Begin to speak her language and embody her actions. Simple stuff here, guys, but so super duper powerful, so absolutely life-changing, and I can absolutely guarantee you, if you just do these two things, if you just spend 2 weeks meditating, writing, embodying, experiencing exactly what we just talked about here, you will begin to see the shift in the world around you. You will begin to feel the power that you hold within you and how absolutely ultimately attached you are to the morphic illumination that is within your own creation, and how your journey benefits not only your life but every single person that you touch from here on out. Ladies, you have the ability to absolutely and completely unleash the depths of your core and experience the ultimate pleasure of your life. You have the ability not just to create or activate mental wealth, but to stay in a high vibrational state of frequency of living throughout wealthy, abundant mindset that just creates with total and complete ease. To where you'll become like me, where mental health isn't even a word I like to say because it doesn't resonate. Because what I'm dealing with here is mental wealth, power, genius, incredible play, incredible passion, incredible pleasure. You have the ability to unlock this. You absolutely do. It is all within you, and it just needs some pieces, some tweaks, some guidance to pull it all out. And that is exactly why, if you are ready, Unleash is ready here for you. Where we're going to work side by side for a solid year. You'll have access to absolutely everything I have created thus far. You'll have one-on-one calls. You'll have Voxer support at your disposal. You'll have meditations if requested. Heal Your Shit systems created specifically for you. Embodiment practices designed for you. You'll be in my inside circle of creation, abundance, and activation. You will be one with me, with the girls, journeying on, lifting up, and creating not just a foundation for life, but creating the life that you desire to have, one step at a time. And the other amazing, beautiful, powerful part of this is completely separating yourself from the lack of mental health mindset that we are so attached to. Unleash is a spectacular opportunity to take your life right now to something completely and totally different. So I am so super duper excited for you guys there. If that seems a little too crazy for you guys, a little too much for you guys, we do have Mental Wealth Rise Up, which is a smaller package, beginning to mid-level introduction to rising up to a mental wealth consciousness state of mind and embodying that is perfect for you if you're just beginning in these journeys. You can check out everything at my website, amandatrombley.live. But most importantly, I'd love for you to just reach out and connect with me. Let me know what you thought about this video and how I can be of more service to you. That's all we have. We will see you in a couple days if you're here with us on Facebook for our Mental Wealth Activator. Until next time.